attack.
I wouldn't even get into it.
Yeah,
I'm mad at black folk right now. Like, what do y'all want?
We're live, fellas. Fellas, we're live.
Oh, hey.
Everybody.
So that,
hey, Deborah.
Yeah, I mean,
oh man, I hope you didn't catch none of that good stuff.
Yeah.
They did. That's why I was like, fellas, we're live.
Lisa in the building.
We missed you. I haven't seen you in a couple of days. We missed you.
She was here. She was here.
I haven't seen her. I've been here.
We see you, Lisa. We see you.
Lisa.
Thank you for sharing. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. So today, blessings, Mama Mokori. Blessings. Thank you for coming in the room. You might have to, wrangle us. You might have to wrangle us. Yes.
Wrangle us in.
All right. So
that is me.
This is what we're talking about today. So everyone buckle up, hold on tight. And I'm pushing my brothers as well as everybody that's watching and listening to kind of shift the conversation into a different space. All right.
He feel prophetic this morning.
Right.
Oh boy.
The Bible says. I feel like shifting in the atmosphere. Get him all in for Carly.
We already know what this is going.
All right.
Hey, sports car lady, what's going on with you? Good morning.
All right. So let's start this intro so we can begin the show and have some fun. All right. This is going to be good. Yeah, this is going to be good. All right. If I can find mine. Yep. Bam. There we go.
But don't be the meal. You know when you said that? Don't be the meal.
Experience is the best teacher, but truth is the Holy Spirit is the best teacher.
If you can find the straightest path to the queen that you're supposed to be with, I believe in, and she finds her straightest path to you, then I think it gets away from all those, the skeletons in the closet.
We aim for the wrong things.
Right.
We aim to make our children a good husband. We aim to make our children good wives or successful businessmen or whatever. Right. The aim is wrong.
Trending is not happening without curiosity. So what's driving curiosity? You understand? People that are successful, people that are effective in life are people with priorities.
Priorities.
Yeah.
I love it because that's when you know to look up like stop caring.
Hey fellas, can I shout out my boy? Can I shout out my boy Edgar Reynolds? He lived in Alabama. We served in the military together. That's my homie. Good brother.
What's up, boss man? Well, as long as you're not a Crimson Tide fan, Edgar, we good out here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
How the traffic
you are?
Okay.
Like the Titanic.
I really believe I'm gonna have to get the soundboard ready today.
Yeah.
Go ahead and cue it up. It's gonna
I got a feeling. I got a feeling.
Oh man! All right. So
hang up.
All right.
I can't share this broadcast. I'm so mad about
that. Oh yeah. What's up, Jeff Roney? Good morning. Thank you for rolling through, my brother. Appreciate you being here. So today, as you can see, what we're talking about is the expectation in politics. Expectations as far as agenda. What things do you want to have accomplished in your life? Sometimes, the late Herman Cain said something, and I know it's like I'm really quoting this dude. Yes, he said some decent stuff sometimes. He said there's, and he mentioned too, like
don't do a Nick Cannon. Don't do a Nick Cannon.
Oh no. Don't do that. No. I'm good. I know where my line's at. Yeah. He talked about like the economy, but I always mention it as everything. He said there is like the macro economy, the big economy, the micro economy, and then he said there's your economy. And so the same goes for politics. There's the macro of the politics, which covers the country, and internationally. There's the micro, which covers your local. Then there's your politics. There's the things that you want that's good for your household. So today I kind of want to talk about expectations. What's your agenda? What is it that what would you like to see from your politicians? And me and my brothers talked prior to the broadcast about staying out of the weeds of people certain people or people in politics and things of that nature, but just talk about expectation. And I know we might glide there, but if my people in comments help us out, stay in the in the lane of expectations. Expectations. What is your expectations in politics? All right. Anyway, feel free.
Good luck on that one. Good luck on that.
Well, I'll give you a go from the start.
So Jeff,
right.
And
that's me, Jeff. By the way, if you didn't know that was me.
I think for me,
good healthy
the first thing that I want to see, out of a politician is personal accountability. I believe that the majority of the people who go into politics who are not career politicians or come from a line of politicians, i.e. father, uncles, cousins, if you got an uncle or a first cousin or closer, that's a congressman or a senator too, y'all might be doing it for different reasons. But that typical person that goes into politics, I believe that when they first get elected, that everything that they preached on or campaigned on, I believe that they believe that wholeheartedly.
Okay.
And then I believe that probably after a year in the White House, not the White House, excuse me, in the Beltline in DC, a year in DC, I think they become tainted, and I think they lose focus of the people and start seeing personal interest. So I'd like to see politicians that are true to themselves throughout their political career.
Okay,
I agree with that, D. I totally agree with that, because see, my thing is, I would like a politician who don't tweet more than I do. Like, that's just me. It's one thing to have personal accountability, but I think people have to be realistic that everybody who's in that political office are being puppets. Yeah. So it's going to be, regardless of what position you find yourself in, you're still going to have to govern yourself by the laws that's already been created before you got into the position. So, economy, yes, we need, the economy is doing so much better than it's ever done in history. But I think that we have to be realistic about some things that's going to happen for our culture and our community. It's not going to happen from politics.
True. And there is a lot of truth to that. I think politics does affect overall what happens only because of funding and policing. Because those things matter. Whatever the agenda of the mayor or the chief police or sheriff, depending on where you live, boom, we're definitely gonna jump on that. Appreciate you putting that up. Term limits. I think that's one that mostly everybody agrees on. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't. Only reason they probably don't is because they have someone in office that they really like. But pretty much everybody kind of agrees on that one. GA said something good, and I've always thought about it too. Most politicians are only interested in pleasing those that, I guess he meant fund their campaign, which kind of makes sense. Like if certain corporations and they fund my campaign, they're expecting when a law passes in their favor that I'm going to push it, or something going against them.
And it's to the tune of this, AD. Do you know that lobbying is the fourth largest job in DC? You know that the lobbyists hold the fourth largest number of positions in Washington, D.C. a lobbyist. And for those of you that don't know what a lobbyist are, these are people that special interest group pay to go and interact as much as possible and get their views seen by congressmen and senators. So people are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars annually into these type programs. They hold the fourth largest job population in DC. Wow. So money talks.
Yeah, it does. And I think even some of the most well-intentioned politicians get affected by that, because now what I may have believed or what I'm pushing for may go against, if I'm in a particular party, either side, they were like, hey, you can't really push that. They fund.
You ain't got enough money,
right? They fund 20% of this campaign. Like what? So I think that affects it. So I guess that could be number 2. So number 1 is term limits. Number 2 is money in politics. Can we get it out or somehow flatten the curve on it or somehow, because unfortunately the one who has the most bank has the better opportunity to win. The one who has the most bank generally has the best opportunity to win. Because there's been several cases of certain states get a crazy amount of money into their state and into that Senate because they're trying to control the seat or control the House and things of that nature. And both parties, all parties do that, because it's a strategy. It's like, okay, boom, they're leaving. We need that seat. So let's take all of this money and dump it in there, Right. And it's been a strategy for a long time outside, of course, gerrymandering, and we can get to that too. Let's see, bills without unrelated attack. Oh,
now,
yeah, that's
Chris, my brother from another mother.
Oh,
that right there.
What's up, E? Thanks for coming through, Ephraim.
I've heard a couple. I've heard a couple politicians recently who were talking about police reform, and they went to the extreme left when talking about these reforms. And then they were asked a question by the opposite party. I'm not calling any parties or nothing, but they were asked a question by the opposite party. And
call them out.
And what he said was this. He said, we don't have time for you to nitpick and want to add other bills to this bill. He was like, put them on their own time. Right now,
yeah,
people are dying and this is needed. And you want to talk about the highway taxes. This isn't the place for highway taxes.
Right.
And I think the more we talk about this, and we just started, the more that I'm starting to think.
Good morning, Cole.
What's going on, Cole? The more that I'm starting to think that it's not the politicians we should be addressing. It's us who we should be addressing. Okay. Because politicians are going to be politicians.
Absolutely.
If you're corruptible from the beginning, DC is going to corrupt you. If you're not corruptible, you may have a short run. And you might be one of those people who have that special, that it factor that keeps you in for 20 years because they respect you so much, even though they don't like you. So I think we got to start understanding this process, because most of us vote on bills based on the commercials we see on TV. Vote no to Proposition 54.
Right.
And
they're going to take everything.
And the only thing you know about Proposition 54 is that they're going to put high tension power lines through the school district. So you vote no. But what they also do is throw 4 or 5 other little things in there that you probably would have voted yes to. But since it's a big item ticket, it's like, let me fool them. Let me fool them.
Hey, Dario on Periscope. I just want to say here. See, I'm the hey guy. I'm the hey guy. They're on politics today. So, hey, Dario on Periscope. Appreciate you.
So Ephraim wrote a comment. If y'all remember this, Ephraim, he comes on Fridays. He said, I'm cool with lobbying, but what's the intent behind it? Is there ever a pure way to lobby?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's part of the game.
Because you're a special interest. You got interest in something.
It's an interest. It is. Yeah. But, I guess. But then again,
I'm all for lobbying.
It's my pure interest as the lobbyist group. My pure interest is to get this thing pushed. Yes, that is my interest. I like that, and I'm gonna get it pushed through. So I guess it's never. Maybe you can't consider it pure, but it's that my job is to get whatever the agenda is that I'm being paid for to make sure these senators or congressmen sway the vote the way you want it to be swayed. So
and once again, go ahead, Chris.
I think for me, I'm still coming into the understanding of this politics thing, because see, there's a lot of people who talk around politics and talk around the bills, but it's never really clear about really what's going on and why we waiting so long. You know, I realized this pandemic has showed us that we got more money in our country than we really give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
You know, it showed that we can do more if people just had the mindset to do it. I think even in the politics, that they just have arguments just to keep people from moving forward and progressing, you know, and it's just like, why can't we just come up with a plan? We push the plan, everybody on the same page, and we just, you know, home of the free, home of the brave, you know. It's amazing that, you know, you got all these people with all this expertise in all these seats, and ain't nobody doing nothing.
Right. I think it's a dividing place that we're at, right? So it seems like, you know, you got to choose this or that. You know, like there's no middle ground when it comes to politics, at least on the value, especially from the media, all of it. Like there's never a middle ground. If you ever notice, there's never either you're choosing one side or the other. And all of it, like, how did this COVID thing become political? Like everything's political. Like any issue that comes up, and especially if money got to get doled out for it, or it becomes political. like how
you gotta remember that politics is nothing but a microcosm of the communities in the country. So if you got black and white, you're gonna have a black perspective and a white perspective. Then when you throw in Middle Eastern, Indian, Asian, Hispanic, you're gonna have all those different perspectives. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, but see, and here's the thing, it doesn't mean that it's a different belief. Right. That's why I use the term perspective, right?
Right.
Because when you chop it down to the basics, you got people who either A, believe in abortion, or B, don't believe in abortion.
Right.
And then you got a handful in the middle that talks about well, if she's raped, I think she has the right to do this.
Right.
And if it's going to save her life. So you do have slight gray areas in every area. And then you got people who's like, I believe that the government should tax people, but then with that taxes, take care of the people too.
Right.
And then you got some people like, government, get your hand out my pocket.
Right.
It's our response. So it's not that it's we're different. It's one of those, we're puppets. And I believe personally, this is why I put the onus back on us. Right. Because I believe that the Democratic and the Republican Party have been playing chess since 1865.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Even prior to it, but I think since 1865, it's like, okay, this is the right thing to do. This is how we move it out. And the other one's like, yeah, we agree with that, but we don't agree with you. So we're going to say that this is attached to your agendas. And it's
right.
And that's petty. That is so petty.
But unfortunately, because it's I gotta win kind of issue. Like each party's like, I gotta win and dominate. That's their goal. Right. And then they put us in the middle and they take normal issues like like my man said, human rights. Right. And now it's divided up. But hold on, quick reset. You're walking with the Brothers of Legacy, where we come on every single morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. If you didn't know where you are, like Terry says, if you stumbled in or you snuck in the back door, now you're in the building. So I need you to do two things. One, I need you to share out this broadcast. Boom, wherever you're at, Periscope, Facebook, or even on YouTube, share it out, copy the link, send it. You know how to do that. And two, I want you to put in, what do you think about the conversation that we're having? Yeah. And three, tag somebody that you want to add in to the conversation. So listen, the one thing though about so my thing is, right, like I said, sometimes they divide it up. Term limits, right? Term limits. Everybody agrees there should be term limits. They got it on the presidency, but everywhere else it's like forever. They get the job and they on it forever.
I'm gonna die here.
Right. And that's not. And honestly, and I always hear it, and it's true that the founding fathers didn't mean for these guys to sit in these offices forever. They're supposed to come in, legislate, and then go back to the farms, you know, and then a new breed supposed to come in, legislate for the next level, and then go back to the prom. Right. They're like the Supreme Court. Now I understand the Supreme Court because the judges, you get wiser. I'm kind of with it. I'm a little, no one wants us to be swayed one way or the other, but that is what it is. I can deal with that. But everywhere else, they're there forever. Yeah, right. Back then, people were right.
Can we take a stab at Ephraim's question?
Yeah, almost let him drive with.
Who do we lose?
Where did he go? The way he said, "Now you see me, now you don't."
That was me.
No, that was agent.
I'm saying, see myself.
He does. No. He probably hit the button like I do sometimes. Mess around and you click that mouse.
And I got the mouse on the computer, and I said, "Boom!" I was like, "Oh, I guess we go."
Thank you for starting to watch the party, Cole. I really appreciate you. Let's take a stab. I want to take a stab at his real quick. If I be the first, if you can pull it up, it says, "Does the church have a healthy relationship with politicians? Is it to their advantage or ours?" Now, if I had to take a stab at, and this is just Terry's opinion, not those of Brothers of Legacy as an entity, just Terry. Okay. The first part of that question, the answer would be no. We do not have a relationship with politicians. With the church is a variant in the equation for a politician. When a politician is running for office, they have to have certain factors they have to hit before they can figure they can win the election. You got to win the black vote. You got to win the white. You got to win the women vote. You got to have the church involved. That's why you get the black vote. So we are a variant. So that's just my belief, and it's going to give the advantage to the politicians because they feel as long as they have the church in their back pocket, they're good. Case in point, you look at Trump, what he did with the black churches, and all the black ministers and pastors went up to Trump Tower to go see him. He had the black church in his back pocket, so we're a variant. So no, I don't think that we have a relationship. No, we have no advantage of it in it. Altogether, because that's not one senator, congressman, nothing is going to do any specific thing for the church. That's just me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that because my thing is, you think about how Bill Clinton got in the office. He went to the black church and pulled out that sax. He said, "I'm gonna take it to church," and people fell in love with him. People will vote for who they feel like they have a connection with, even if what they stand for ain't accurate, which I don't agree with that at all. I would think it should be the other way around. But, I think it's important that, people understand that if you're going to vote for somebody who has the same standard and the same, outlook on what you're trying to, really get out of your life, man. Because my thing is, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm just going to tell you, I didn't vote for him because I don't even know how a businessman like that got into politics like that, in my honest opinion.
Here's the deal. The reason why Trump has the supporters he has and the reason why he won the election is simply because he hates the same thing the majority of the folks hate, and he verbalized it. And that's the reason why he's still in office. The reason why he has the supporters that he has, and nothing is going to change that.
Stop it.
Here's the upcoming election is going to be tricky. It's really going to be tricky to see. I wish the world wasn't like it is. It wasn't the way it is.
And this is why I go back to my point. I'm taking away all punk excuses. That's just how I feel. And I think that we don't hold people personally accountable enough. I think that a lot of politicians claim that they're religious for appeal. That's true. However, if a church is being the church, there's grace, there's mercy, all that stuff exists. We all needed it, and anybody new coming in, they need the same thing, right? However, if you're gonna play my church against, like, if you're going to, if it's a personal relationship, see, we put politicians on a level that separates them from us,
right?
So that kind of makes them devoid of relationships. So there are a lot of things I just expect from anybody. If you're a man, I expect that at some point in your life, you may had a little bit of dog in you. Mate, I expect that you went through a time where you probably was a party or a drink and you did some stupid stuff or said some stupid stuff. It's one thing to be a young fool. It's another thing to be an old fool. But what we do is, regardless of all of that, let's say Dr. Burton, let's say Dr. Burton has a member that he's been mentoring and he's been in his life for the last 10, 15 years. You think Dr. Burton isn't gonna have some positive words, some encouragement, some support for that person who he's physically known for that? Now, this is not every politician case, but at the same time, when that said member goes out and begins his political career, and then he begins to stray from the core values of all the people that he's affiliated himself with, I think it's important for that people to say, hey, we're not being judgmental here, but you're losing focus of who you are.
Absolutely.
See, that's that two-way relationship that everybody, it's always one way. And it's the politician that it's not, the relationship doesn't go both ways. So accountability, like if any president, well, he didn't say it while he was a sitting president, so I'm not going to say. If a statement is made by any president, I think, well, let me say this first. Too many of us, we got one button. We got one button during election season.
Right.
And this is what I mean. Some people that may watch this ain't never voted Democrat in their life because mama was a Republican and daddy was a Republican. Gosh darn it, granddaddy was a Republican. That's what we vote around here. And there's some people that's watching this that ain't never voted red in their life because we Democrats around here. We don't do that. So that's the first thing. People don't know agendas. They don't know bases. And then they start supporting people, one, simply because, oh, there's a donkey. I'm voting that.
Right.
Oh, there's that elephant. Roll Tide.
Right. I do agree with that. Yeah.
We got to get past that. Accountability starts with us. If we want to change this country, we got to stop being ignorant to all of these things that are slid into certain presentations to Congress and to the House. We got to stop being ignorant and say, oh, well, I'm just out here. You know what? We don't need term limits. I think we need term limits, but we shouldn't need term limits. You know why? Oh, because we control that.
Right.
If you're messing up over and over, why are we still vote you in office?
Right.
Yeah. So
this is what I say this morning. This is what I say. I say that we vote for Dwayne for president of the United States. That's what I say.
I don't know why.
All in favor say I agree.
My closet is ugly. It's forgiving, but it's ugly.
Yeah.
America. But see, I would rather I could trust somebody who tell me they crazy than for somebody to get in the seat and then we find out you crazy and now your crazy is affecting the community. I could deal with that, but a lot of these people, they come with false intentions from the gate, like we were talking about earlier, and it's affecting the local community, it's affecting the global community, and ultimately, you know what I'm saying, we ain't moving forward.
Right.
And my thing is, how many times are we going to vote for the same type of intention?
Right.
The face is one thing, but the intent is something else. And I think those of us who are in the spiritual church community, I think we need to use more discernment and stop letting everybody, present their cases over our pulpit to our people. And we know that they ain't got no mindset to do nothing about it.
I've seen entirely too many, not bad mouthing preachers, but I've seen too many preachers when a certain person of a certain status, hey, can I come? Oh, yeah. It's blessing. It's like, okay, what are you? Who's really in charge of this body? Because you don't get that happy when the Holy Spirit gives you revelation. So once again, it starts here.
Right. And, hold on, we got a guest in the room. I guess his guest coming in. Yes.
What?
Yo, Terry's face like, wait, what?
Hey, wait a minute. Somebody said he was gonna be here. That's all I know. Somebody said he was gonna be here.
Listen, I don't want the comment. I don't want the comment of the day slip past. before we if you can get Cole's comment.
Yeah, I got it.
He was snapping.
He said we don't give a crap about any other political figure enough except the president. The society is perfect to have career politicians.
That's the comment of the day, Cole. I'm gonna one of these old days. I'm gonna put all Amazon gift card. One of these old
he said, "Listen, you know he's serious when he used the word crap."
Yeah.
you know he's serious.
Right.
That's that professional. That's that professional disdain.
But piggybacking off the man that just walked in, he said this a while ago. He said, a lot of times our presidents, other than our current president, somebody's phone ringing. Oh, it's probably nope. Is that?
It was me.
The president generally, other than like I said, our current president comes from the rankings of local. They come locally and they move up the ranks. And somewhere they catch somebody's eye and they're like, you know what, you may be able to go all the way, and they get the backing, they get the funding. But it starts locally. If we can get the right people into the system, then we can end up with a better president. But local elections, of course, we know matter as well. So that is definitely a true statement.
Yeah.
Every single one.
You have to think about because Cole's comment was regarding career politicians, right? And the challenge is, how do you grow a president without them being corrupted or becoming a part of the political machine?
Right.
That's the challenge, right?
Right. Yeah. This is a Manchurian candidate.
Right. Yeah. But what I will tell you is that I found out in the 90s, someone from DC came and told us that we don't have enough representation in DC, period.
Right.
What he said was the difference between you and your counterparts is that they take their college students, send them to DC, on internships, and their training begins while in college.
Right.
And their total responsibility is to find the information.
Right.
Find the money, see where the money is, because in most cases, the way the machine works is Washington is not going to tell you where the money is. You have to tell them where it is, and you have to justify your reason for getting it, and then they have no choice but to give it to you.
Right.
And it works like that with money, and it works like that with laws, with everything else. Right. And I think what happens is, to Cole's point, we get focused on the presidential office, and we forget that there is the legislative and the judicial branches of politics.
Right.
And we completely miss that. And we don't understand how much power we have on a local level. Most people don't even know who their representatives are, their local representatives in their city.
Right.
They don't know. Most people don't know who their senator is.
Right.
And that's where the power is. That's where the leverage is. Do you think it's necessary that we as believers vote regarding? Do you think it's necessary?
That's the question of the day. And then
the office as president.
I like that.
I think so.
You think it's necessary as believers voting to vote regarding who gets into office as president? Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Personally, I do. Yeah.
The reason why I got on, because I just got off my other call, the reason I jumped on is because I was watching on Facebook and I saw Cole's statement. If you go back a little bit, he made a statement about the church's relationship with politics.
Nope.
Yeah.
He said something about the church. I think the church does not have a healthy relationship.
There you go. I got
the
that
church has an unhealthy relationship with politics.
Yeah.
Right. But the question for me to Cole is define unhealthy. Right? Because what do you mean when you say the relationship is unhealthy? Because you can't tell me that the church isn't talking. You can't tell me that they're not engaged, because politicians visit every metropolitan leading church before getting elected. They hit the cities, they hit the churches, they talk to those pastors. I promise you, if you have more than 1,000 members in your church family, the politicians are stopping by. They want to know who you are. That happens.
Right.
Been seeing it for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is a relationship. So the question is, what do you consider healthy versus unhealthy?
And also going back to the original point of what AD was talking about expectation. We gotta really decipher, like Pastor was saying, about what is our expectation and what do we think we should get out of politics, because I think sometimes we put a demand on politics, and really that demand should be on individual persons. I don't think it should be so much solely on politics, even though politics play a part and it makes things available and resources available. But I think ultimately some of those demands we need to bring back into our own communities and do something about it ourselves. And that's where the church comes into play. And I think that there has to be a working relationship between politics and church. I think, there has to be a common level of respect, and voices must be appreciated in order for there to be movement in our communities, I believe.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
So where does that space lie? Like, so that's, I love that. And it's true. So where does that space lie? So
that should be
what I mean, so I know Pastor spoke about the initiative with money, funding, outside of funding, or is funding the main thing that the churches need to be more effective in the community to kind of take some of the load of the political climate off the community?
I think everything begins.
If that makes sense.
With funding. Yeah, you're not going to make a point if you don't have any money. You're not going to have an impact if you don't have funding. It's really just that simple. You can't push a community project without funding. So the baseline is always going to be funding. If you follow the money, you'll find the power. If you follow the money, you'll find the leverage. It's really just that simple. When shepherds push to congregations to vote for somebody based only on political affiliation, okay, man, Cole has been engaged. Cole knows some stuff. Cole is hiding.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Cole is right, because
and see that's the same thing that we just said prior to you coming in.
Yeah.
I said it's slightly different, but I said some people are so busy focusing on blue and red that they don't see issues. And I didn't want to get too deep into the weeds, but absolutely.
It's one of the reasons why I don't stand up and push a political figure.
Right.
I push an agenda. I don't push a person, right? In my perfect world, it's not about the person in the seat. It's about what the seat represents, because we're supposed to control the seat. And if we can control the seat, we influence who's sitting in the seat. And a lot of times we buy the person instead of controlling the seat. And to Cole's point, I remember when churches would put together voting agendas, they would literally give you a map of what to push, what to select, what agendas to select, what initiatives to vote for. Churches would distribute that to their congregation. So now you have a congregation that's literally voting blindly. Right. And what has happened is that pastor, that leader, has sat down in a back room with a politician and has been instructed on how to vote.
Right.
But talk about the origin of that too. Not excusing it, but you got to remember that practice started in a segregated South where voters' lives initially were threatened. So once again, we see how the puppet masters come along. Not saying that certain people didn't really have somebody else's benefit as a priority, but nonetheless, you had parties that came along and was like, look, if you do this wrong, you're not going to be able to vote. So they started coaching, and what happened is those people never evolved.
Yeah,
the pastors from those times who was doing a good thing showing their people how to get through the process, they never evolve. So 10 years later,
right
now you got this politician coming in that's built a relationship, and they're like, okay, this is what we're doing. And all of a sudden now the pastors who pocket may or may not be getting in line with something, he's going to bring that to the congregation the same way he did 10 years prior. And fast forward 60, 70 years, some of those practices haven't changed because people haven't grown, and they're not looking with their own eyes, and they don't have their own perspective. They're still allowing other people to dictate to them what to do. I liken it to everything from that era was birthed out of the church almost, especially in the South.
Right.
The civil rights movement, the voting acts, the fair housing, most of those things were birthed out of the church or has religious leaders attached to them.
Right, because the church was the meeting place.
Right. And what clergy said during those times, I don't know about it.
And then they finished with
There's three parts to that.
Yeah, so this one right here, I would say unhealthy would be where believers lose focus and allow politics to influence their obeying of God and operating by kingdom principles.
And that's great because mine parlays right on it. Yeah. Because mine parlays right on into that. So we had a people who became conditioned to be a certain way. Right. And now that we're in a place where we can obtain the wisdom, the understanding, we have it flowing at us every which direction. And even some of us, we suffer from cognitive dissonance because we know it, but we still don't do it.
Right.
So where it gets healthy is because you've been that way for so long, and because we've seen aunts, uncles, grandparents, parents vote red or blue only.
Right.
That's what we do blindly. And now it's at a point where here you are saying you're a Christian and you don't believe in A, B, or C, and then you vote with somebody who believes in A, B, and C because it's such a part of your conditioning.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I go back to it's on us. You want to change politics, you got to change individuals. You can put anything you want to put into play when it comes to politicians to try to equal the playing field. If you really want to change it, it got to start at the base and at the foundation. Your vote actually does matter. Look, it takes 51 out of 100 senators to pass a bill. It takes 285 out of 451 congressmen to pass a bill. So if you got one person of integrity, they can take an entire 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Bush. One person could mess up any one of those bills.
True. Yes. I just thought that comment from Cole was that look at Pat Robertson and Paula White. They push a Republican agenda regardless of who runs as a Democrat. At the same time, it will be considered a heathen as a Democrat and someone worthy of grace and mercy if you are a Republican.
Absolutely. Well, listen.
Right.
And the vast majority of their churches are Democrat. I could almost put money on it.
Absolutely. Well, I think the greatest, and I don't want to take anything away from anybody's anointing, their calling, or anything like that.
Right.
But I think one of the biggest tricks was played by Paula White. Right. Let me get all the way in. Let me get all the way into the hood. Right.
All the way in.
Get all the way.
She crossed over.
All the way.
Bro,
right.
And then she came out like, boom. Everybody
was like, what?
Right. Yeah, she was like, I don't want baked chicken no more. I want fries.
Right. I'm thinking about, look, Derek Fisher and Kobe Bryant, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Right? You just didn't know.
Right.
And that's a lot of what people have discovered, even with number 45.
Good morning.
Right? People didn't realize how many folks were on the right.
Right.
Until Donald Trump put the covers on. Right?
True.
He gave all the people that were in hiding, he gave them the freedom to step up and step out. I got you. That's what he was basically saying. If you look, when he said, knock him out and I'll bail you out.
Right.
Do y'all,
right.
I don't think you guys remember
he did
that.
Say
Right?
that. He did say that. Yeah, I do. On his campaign trail. Oh yeah, he was off the chain.
Look, Donald. To me, President Trump he's like Michael Jackson. You know how many different Michael Jacksons we've seen since being the truth. Look, I know that's your boy, Pastor. I know that's your boy. But we seen young Michael that was black and proud with the afro and the big nose. And then we seen Michael Jackson that moved into the teen, got the curl, got his hair burnt with Pepsi. And then he didn't know if he was black no more. And he started bleaching his skin.
Sure did.
Then he put a blanket over his kid and named his kid Blanket. I mean, there's so many different things. This is what, because I've seen Donald Trump on the stage with Jesse Jackson. The same Jesse Jackson that said he spit in every white person sweet tea in South Carolina growing up. That same Jesse Jackson is on the stage with Donald Trump back in the 80s. I've seen him with Big Daddy Kane. I've seen him with Rakim, with Oprah.
Check the replay.
And now he's with alt-right. So I don't know who he is. Him and Hillary Clinton was best friends before he decided to run for president. So
yeah, but I think but see what people are forgetting is it's the same person,
right?
Because if you go back far enough, he said out of his own mouth, if I was ever going to run for president, I would run as a Republican because you can tell them anything. So it's not he didn't change his story. He's been there all the time.
Can I add something?
There with Big Daddy Kane, the Central Park Five, he wanted all of them killed.
Right.
It's
that's
the same
true. Yeah.
guy.
That's true.
We've always known who he is.
Right.
Always. We just didn't expect him to go this far.
We start to see.
Yeah, he did too much.
Now let me ask you this though, Pastor. Let me ask you this. And I'm gonna shut up for a little while. And I'm gonna shut up for the rest of the show. I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask you a question, but I'm gonna ask him a question and I ain't talking no more. So he said that, which we know it's a quote, that he would run as a Republican, and we know the reasons why. So seeing that most conservatives are Republicans, are evangelicals, is it safe to say that he was saying, I can tell all Christians what to believe and they're going to believe me?
Not all.
Not all.
But enough to win a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the thing is, now you're talking about whether or not somebody is a true believer. Because there's a whole lot of folks saying, Lord, Lord, but their hearts are far from Jesus.
Right.
Come on, Pastor, you preaching. Watch yourself.
Hey, that's real.
Right.
So
that is real.
I don't want us to make the mistake of lumping believer, the quote unquote Christians in the same bucket as true worshipers, because it doesn't count that way. And so that's what happens. They throw this wide blanket over all Christianity, and not everybody who says they're a Christian is going to make it into heaven.
Right. True. That was right on time. All right. So that was the mic drop moment. So we appreciate you guys rocking with us. I think we did an amazing job. We definitely going to revisit this. This went really well.
Dwayne for president.
Yes.
2020.
Dwayne Goodson. If you want it good, vote for Goodson.
Go for Goodson.
All right, guys, listen. Hold on. Don't say the label because everything okay, and start fight for that when it's all together. And it is definitely.
That's right.
Definitely. It's a lot of, like we talked about in the beginning, it's a lot of division.
And then
political makeup does not have a category.
Oh no. Hey, I don't know what they're feeding you down there in Australia, but no, sir. All
right, so we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go. Because I feel like we're gonna get into the weeds in a minute. I feel it.
Can't we all just get along?
Right. All right, guys. So listen, tomorrow's Freestyle Friday. Who's running? Oh, Terry's running. He's
gone. Where you at?
He's gone. He had to run off to work. He had to go make the donuts. So
make that bread.
All right. So we're gonna see you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for chiming in. Yes.
Remember, he said he was doing the
request. So you guys make sure you send it. Hold on, let me put that email up. Boom. Make sure you email brothersoflegacy@gmail. Your requests. Email us what you want us to talk about tomorrow. What you want us to talk about tomorrow. And he's going to do viewer's choice. Viewer's choice. So let him know. And if you connected to him or any of us on Facebook, you can hit us up in Messenger and we'll send it over to him. All right, guys. So as always, know that we love you, but God loves you more. You guys take care and we'll see you tomorrow.